Do you have an anger problem? Or do you know anyone who has? When you feel very angry, do you act in ways you later regret and then feel guilty? Would you like to learn how to diffuse anger, or at least dial down your anger, shifting it from being a destructive force to a gentler energy? You see, no technique is going to work 100% of the time. What I'm going to share in this video are some tips that can help prevent major setbacks when you're in the midst of an anger avalanche. Hi friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Rani. I'm a mental wealth coach and holistic psychiatrist. I help you unlock your exceptional brilliance so that you can show up as a higher version of yourself. For a long time, I thought I was an angry person. I believed I was an angry person. That was my identity. And I remember growing up being very angry. Not all the time, but I used to feel angry very soon. Someone said something and I would be upset about what they said because I assumed that they meant there was something wrong with me. Very innocent of me, of course, but I had all these assumptions. And I remember feeling red in my face. I remember when my sisters used to tease me, I used to feel very angry. It was like smoke coming out of my ears and I could see red. That was how angry I used to be as a child. And then as I grew up, I still had this assumption that I was an angry person. And of course, I did a lot of work around this. And of course, anger still comes and pays a visit from time to time. But I don't see myself as an angry person at all. So what I'm getting to here is there's something about identifying as this is who I am versus knowing that perhaps that's a habitual way of being. Perhaps that's a habitual way of how we see ourselves, how we see other people, and how we see the world. This video and the next one is not going to be so much of how can you control anger, but it is going to be about how do we change our relationship with anger. You can say anger is an adaptive response and it is a version of fight or flight response. Anger thoughts come with a sense of urgency, as if we need to take action now. And of course, when we are angry, we don't speak in a low tone. We raise our voice and our facial expression changes. And people will freak out when they see us. And this is what happens in an angry person. No one wants to be near an angry person, right? But I have been there. And I see now what I did not see back then. Let's talk about the causes. What causes anger? So I will talk about two types of causes. One is on a surface level, what we think causes our anger, and at a deeper level, what causes anger. So on a surface level, it seems like someone or something outside of us is making us angry. The reason I'm reacting, the reason I am angry is because you did not do this, or you upset me, or someone said something very mean about me, or I was traumatized or abused. So what causes anger? Why do we get angry? It feels like something outside of us, a situation or other people or what's happening out in the world is making us angry. It really looks like that to all of us. That's how the mind plays tricks on us. And yet, if you look at the real cause of anger, it's because we feel our rules for living has been violated. What do I mean by that? Imagine I have some rules for living, like this is how my day needs to go, this is what my children needs to do, this is how other people around me should behave, this is what they should be thankful for, this is what I should be thankful for. Why do we feel angry? If you were to ask different people, they would give different answers. Some people will say, I feel angry when, and then it's like filling up the blank. I feel angry when someone does not return a favor. I feel angry if someone is not on time. I feel angry when someone is rude to me. I feel angry because of what people did to me when I was a child. So it seems like there can be 1,000 different reasons why we can get angry. And we talk about someone pressing a button. Oh, that person really presses my button and I get triggered. So it really feels like we are at the mercy of the external world, or we are at the mercy of other people, or we are at the mercy of what happened to us in the past. And bear with me when I talk about the root cause of anger is that at some level we really believe that things that should not have happened are happening. And then we feel that frustration, we feel really upset about what's happening, and then we feel angry. But the real root cause is that we believe our thinking, we believe that what's happening is wrong or immoral. Now, I'm not saying that things don't happen that shouldn't happen or that life is fair. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that the real reason we feel angry, the real reason we feel resentful is because we deeply believe that something is wrong, something is fundamentally wrong. And we believe our thinking in the moment. It cannot work any other way. Our past does not have the power to make us angry because the past is already gone. We have thinking about the past and what happened, and memories might flood in and we get angry. It might seem like other people have power to make us feel a certain way. And again, we know that it's impossible because if we are in a better state of mind, they might say something and we might dismiss it and say, I can't be bothered, or I don't have to get angry or upset with him. But there are other days when we are in a low frame of mind and then we get triggered. So it is a state of mind, it is our thinking in the moment that triggers us rather than something external. Why is this useful to know? This is useful to know because when we are looking at dialing down our anger or changing the relationship with anger, we can look at how we can shift the energy, this intense negative energy, to something that is more productive and works for us rather than against us. Because we all know what happens when we get angry and we react and how that can affect our relationships negatively. And people can then give us a label. Oh, so and so is an angry person. And that's not a nice label to have. When I used to say I'm an angry person, I did not like myself. I thought there was something wrong with me. So it is really helpful to understand the real cause of anger and to shift that energy. Now let's move on to what can help when we are in the heat of the moment, when we're really feeling angry. I have seen videos, I have seen people give tips as to how to get over anger management. But the truth is, when we are in the midst of an anger avalanche, we are at the mercy of the avalanche. It's beyond any tools that we can use in that moment. On hindsight, we can wish we had handled the situation better, but in that moment, it can be very, very difficult. So let's talk about preparation in a way. Let's talk about how we can do some damage control if this happens to us. The first tip is physical timeout. What do I mean by that? Take yourself away from the situation. When you are in the midst of a situation, maybe you are in an argument with your partner or you are at work and someone said something. Now, of course, this takes practice, but the moment you notice that you are getting more and more angry, take yourself out of the situation. You might not even have to say anything because you are so fuming. Just leave the situation. That's the best I can say. So give yourself that space and just give yourself that time out and take yourself away. Have a glass of water, go out, have some fresh air, go jogging, do anything to just interrupt the pattern, this intense emotion that seems to take all over you, to deal with the emotion that's coming so fast that you don't know how to handle that. And there's nothing specific you need to do except that you just take yourself out of the situation. What we're doing here is we are distancing ourselves from the situation where we could be provoked more and more. We could say things because in the state of mind, we really believe our thinking. We are so angry, we could say some things that later on we regret. One of my mentors said, when you're really upset or angry, the best thing you can do is meaning just shut up and also sit on your hands like this. I know it's like, what's the meaning of this, Rani? But this is, in a way, damage control. So if we open our mouth when we are really upset or really angry, we could say things that later we regret. So the best thing is to shut our mouth. And obviously, best thing to keep shutting our mouth is to take ourselves away from that environment momentarily. The other reason why my mentor said sit on your hands is that we don't do something like lash out or break things or anything when we are in the heat of the moment. So I love that analogy because in a way it tells us what not to do. So that's the first tip I would say physical timeout. The second tip is psychological timeout. What do I mean by psychological timeout? Well, when you're angry, that's the worst time to try to do any problem solving. Because guess what? Your mind is like a whirlpool at that moment. There's a lot of thinking going on. Of course, there is this avalanche going on, right? So you can't think straight, but then you're trying to problem solve. And all the thoughts that you are going to entertain is what happened, why this other person is wrong, or why this situation is wrong. And there'll be a lot of blame, there'll be a lot of anger. And basically, if you wanted to calm down, if you wanted to get out of the avalanche quickly, it is important to give yourself the psychological timeout. Don't have to think, don't have to problem solve, and just do anything you want to interrupt the pattern. Anything. You might want to go to bed, you might want to shut your eyes, you might want to do some deep breathing, or you might want to do something called box breathing, which is super simple. You breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, and again breathe in for 4. So you can do something like that, breathing. You can do whatever works for you. There is no specific technique that is going to work for you 100% of the time. However, all I'm saying is create a distance from the turbulent thinking going on in the moment. Allow your mind to quiet down. So rather than you trying to diffuse the situation or you trying to problem solve, allow the mind to diffuse itself in its own time, because it will. The third tip that I have got for you is not to share your feelings. I know it's important to talk to someone and share how you're feeling, but not in the heat of the moment. I have a client, and whenever she gets angry, she makes it a point to tell her family, her loved ones, how angry she is. She gets very, very upset, and she gets loud. She even ends up blaming them and getting angry with them because they are trying to pacify her, because they are trying to calm her down. She gets more and more furious. Why? Because she's just been angry, and then she is expressing her anger. She's telling them exactly how she's feeling and why she's feeling it and how everything is wrong, how she feels blamed, how she feels judged. And the more she's saying it, she is creating that in the moment. So rather than allowing the avalanche to settle down, it's like she is creating another avalanche with her thinking that is going to make it last longer and longer. So in a conversation, we talk about how her talking to her parents when she is really upset is not a good idea. And she gets that now. So the fourth tip is, rather than looking for validation from someone else about how angry you are feeling, validate your feelings yourself. Acknowledge that that's how you're feeling. Feelings of anger and resentment can feel very overwhelming. We might want to diffuse a situation and we might want to do something about it instantly, or we might want to just push it away. If you can show yourself self-compassion and not judge yourself for feeling angry, or not even blame anyone else, because remember, you have taken the psychological timeout, you are not entertaining any thinking in the moment. What will happen is you are, in a way, creating space for the mind to settle down. That is going to be helpful. And the final tip is, once you have calmed down and you feel more centered, then you can go and have a conversation. Then you might want to clear up the mess. And when you have the conversation, make sure that you're ready to have the conversation. Make sure that you're also ready to hear the other person's perspective and own your feeling. Rather than saying, you made me feel angry because you did this, what would be really helpful is for you to say, when you did this, I felt this. That's very different to, you made me feel this. So all these have been tips about how to handle the intense emotion of anger when you are acutely in it, when you are in the midst of anger. In my next video, I'm going to talk about sustainable outcome. How do you do some deep work? What needs to change? What you need to shift in order to change your relationship with anger? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, please watch the next one and do not forget to subscribe. See you next time.